Good morning, everyone. I'm recording this Bodhi Day service a bit early, about 3 weeks early, because for one thing, I got it done and I have other things to do. And I noticed on the calendar that Bodhi Day, this service is scheduled to be filmed on the 13th of December, about 5 days after Bodhi Day. You may have observed Bodhi Day the previous Sunday, which would have been the 6th of December. So I'm sorry if you're having a second Bodhi Day service. So I was assigned. Finally, I got my marching orders, as it were, that I would be doing the second service of each month, which happens to coincide with Shotsuki Hoyo. So with that in mind, I am delivering. Or prepared. I have prepared this today's service. Shotsuki Hoyo, of course, is a time when we remember our ancestors who have preceded before us to the Pure Land. And although Bodhi Day is not really a memorial service for the deceased Shakyamuni Buddha, nonetheless, we observe a Bodhi Day as a reminder that on December the 8th, Mahayana Buddhists throughout the world observe Bodhi, or Bodhi Day service. Actually, Bodhi Day is the most important service of our liturgical cycle. Why? Because Bodhi Day recalls the enlightenment that thrusts Siddhartha Gautama to Buddhahood, without which, of course, there would be no Buddhist faith, and we will not be sitting here in the Temple of Marin in 2020, December the 13th, to observe Bodhi Day. On that momentous morning, Siddhartha Gautama intuits reality for what it is. He thus attained insight into the Dharma. So today, this morning, I would like to share some thoughts on Jodo-e and the significance of intuiting reality for what it is. And with this, that is, for intuiting reality for what it is, I'd like to comment on the misinformation and lies that are saturating our public discourse. So we have the first slide. Jodo-e. And I want to very briefly go over these terms. Jodo-e. Actually, Jodo-e is okay, but the English translation of Bodhi Day does not carry the urgency of what Bodhi Jodo-e means. The kanji, Jo, the first kanji, means accomplishment or realization. Do, of course, means path or road or the way. And A, the last kanji, means assembly or gathering. So technically, Jodo-e is the service that commemorates the realization of the way, that is, the way of the Dharma. After a life of spiritual unease, including 6 long years of exploration and self-sacrifice, Siddhartha Gautama attained Bodhi, or wisdom, and became the Buddha, the Enlightened One. With the enlightenment, he achieved the way of the Dharma. His life and being now resonated with the Dharma, a spiritual force, the spiritual force that pervades all reality. And Buddhists maintain this spiritual force to be good and caring. Devotees of South Asia and Southeast Asia, even today, do not normally describe themselves to be Buddhists, but Dharmachari. Chari is the masculine, and if you add ni, Dharmachari ni, it means the feminine. So male and feminine and female devotees of the Dharma, it means followers of the Dharma. They are not followers of the Buddha, but the followers of the Dharma. And we are really not Buddhists, but followers of the Dharma. And the Buddha himself says, to see the Buddha is to see the Dharma. The Dharma is, the Buddha just exemplified the way of the Dharma. The expression Buddhists and Buddhism is a recent invention. They were coined in the late 17th and early 18th centuries when European traders encountered barefoot Alsmen in the ports, in saffron robes in South Asian ports. Learning that these head-shaven clerics were followers of the Buddha, the Sanskrit for Buddha, they assigned the terms, the expression Buddhists and Buddhism. Since Mahayana Buddhist assumes that sentient beings all possess the seeds of Buddhahood and theoretically already Buddhas, and will at some point realize the Dharma, the more important question is, what does one do with the experience and insight of the enlightenment? Followers of the Dharma pursue enlightenment to enter the way or path of the Dharma, to live out its ideals. Thus, Jodo highlights the way of the Dharma. Jodo-e celebrates not only Siddhartha Gautama's attainment of Buddhahood, but our realization and entry into the path of the Dharma. As I noted in my essay, John Lewis, A Life Well Lived, Buddhism is a praxis. It is what one does. There is much to share about Jodo-e Buddhism, the Dharma, but today I'd like to reflect on the significance of intuiting reality for what it is, and my concern, as you may have, with the proliferation of conspiracy theories, half-truths, misinformation, and outright lies in the social media and their appearance in mainstream outlets. Recently, I came across an article, Inside Trump's Allies' Plans to Alter Race, in the New York Times. This article appeared on the 26th of October, 2020. The thrust of this article focused not on the dirty political tricks, but on the reclaiming of mainstream news outlets as information gatekeepers, checking facts and reporting on truthfulness and reporting truthfully. I will not pursue detail the contents of this article, but essentially the reporter, Ben Smith, said that allies of President Trump met with Michael Bender, a reporter, the White House reporter for the Wall Street Journal, and hoping that he would, planning that they would feed him information about Hunter Biden's business ventures in China, and linking those business ventures, that business partnership and venture, with Joseph Biden while he was Vice President of the United States, and linking them, and hopefully this expose would derail the possibility that he would be elected President of the United States. Bender, of course, did not take the bait. He passed this information along to another reporter who had been following the Hunter Biden story. I should mention that a trove of articles and letters and emails were found on a computer, a laptop, on the hard disk of a laptop that Hunter Biden apparently left at the repair shop to be checked out. The Wall Street Journal refused to publish such an article because it could not ascertain the validity or the authenticity of the emails and other memos that were found on this laptop that was left in a repair shop. Apparently, Donald Trump wanted to use the expose that was to be published in the Wall Street Journal during his last debate with Joe Biden, the last presidential debate. It did not come to pass, and he was not able to use it. But the implications that something was a brew surfaced when Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes was approached by Donald Trump asking for 60 Minutes to report on this, and Leslie Stahl says, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify. I have an article that details the contents of this article, and I would refer you, if you want to get the scoop on this, to refer to the article that is shown on the slides here and my summarization of it. But the point is, the reassertion of mainstream media in the closing days of 2020 is most appreciated. Ophthalmologically, of course, a diagnosis of 2020 means perfect vision. But within the context of the swirl of conspiracy theories, I like to think that the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, 60 Minutes, and other reputable mainstream media outlets are exercising their journalistic responsibility of fact-checking and publishing newsworthy reports. Smith references a study by Harvard University, and the author writes, mainstream media news revolved around the agenda that the right-wing media sphere set. And this retreat provided Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, who ran Breitbart News, and others, an opening to manipulate and control the news cycle. Fact-checking and publishing newsworthy stories, trustworthy newsworthy stories, is the responsibility of responsible journalism. I am reminded of the Japanese Zen cleric Basu Tokusho, who forcefully uttered these words, the following, just before passing into nirvana. He said, "Look straight ahead. What's there? If you see it as it is, you will never err." So with that, I'd like to ask, what is the virtue of looking straight ahead and seeing what it is? For Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, to intuit reality for what it is, transformed how he understood psychophysical workings of the mind. With this new insight, the newly minted Buddha, in tune with the Dharma, observed the morning star suspended in the eastern sky and declared, all sentient beings possess the Tathagata's wisdom and virtue, and because they harbor false notions and attachments, they remain unenlightened. This post-enlightenment proclamation affirms the ontological identity with the Tathagata or the Buddha and the unenlightened. Unable or unwilling to acknowledge what is in front of you, in front of them, the unenlightened harbor false notions and attachments. And they inhabit a world of their own making. To be sure, for the Buddhist to intuit reality for what it is a spiritual transforming event. The experience is different from ascertaining the efficacy of wearing face masks to slow the spread of the COVID virus. The former is an unquantifiable spiritual event, and the latter an epistemological fact. When the Kalamas of Kesaputta invited the Buddha, they explained that they have heard from many spiritual teachers, each claiming to be the best, while often disparaging their competitors. Whose teaching should they follow? They asked the Buddha, and the Buddha advised them. Not to accept uncritically the authority of revelation, tradition, report, a renowned teacher, or a revered text. A doctrine or teaching, he said, is valid if it promotes virtue, moral attainment, and happiness. The Buddha, of course, did not exclude his own spiritual path to this test. The Buddha always underscored that his Dharma or teaching is only a guide, and that he was not an authority. The Buddha's advice to Kalamal's kinfolks is useful for understanding the proliferation of conspiracy theories, half-truths, misinformation, and falsehoods on social media and their appearance in mainstream media. The combination of distorted vision, disregarding factual reality, and the speed at which misinformation is spread via the internet is dangerous. It is doubly dangerous when President Trump, who has become a kind of high peace priest of conspiracy theories managed to bring such theories into the mainstream news cycle. I remember clearly when the president accused doctors of inflating COVID-19 cases at a Michigan campaign rally on 30 October 2020. He said, and I quote, "Our doctors get more money if someone dies from COVID." You know that, right? The statement is not true, and it is an affront to physicians and the medical profession. But because such statement, outrageous as it may be, was uttered by the President of the United States, it appeared in the mainstream media. Such statements have no redeeming purpose except to reinforce the beliefs of his conspiracy theory supporters. The Buddha's advice to the Kamala's kinfolk is also applicable to the present COVID-19 pandemic. Epidemiologists have repeatedly advised us to wear masks, wash our hands, often avoid crowds, especially in closed spaces. These are ways to slow the pandemic. Practices to promote less infections, hospitalizations, and deaths should be followed for the common good. On this occasion, on the 2020 Jodo-e, it is important to remember the import of intuiting reality for what it is. Intuiting and experiencing reality for what it is transformed Siddhartha Gautama to Buddhahood. With the enlightenment, the newly minted Buddha, now in tune with the Dharma, quickened his resolve to lead all beings from suffering. Unable or unwilling to intuit reality for what it is, the unenlightened harbor false notions and live in a world of their own making. The task for Dhammacharis and Dhammacharis, epidemiologists, healthcare workers, and those concerned with the health and well-being of all citizens. It is to persuade COVID-19 deniers to see reality for what it is. And I like to just share some photos with you. This is the Kesariya Stupa. This is the site, it is believed, where the Buddha met with the Kamala's kinfolk and preached what we call the Kamala's Sutra, where he encouraged people, if a teaching leads to wholesomeness, virtuous action, and if the wise people follow them, then we should follow their teaching. If it does not, we should avoid them. And here is another picture of the gang of 9, I guess, when we visited the Kesarari Stupa in 2019. And here is the poetry on February 4th, 2019, where the Buddha became enlightened. And here is the Bodhi Manda, the seat of enlightenment, where the Buddha sat on the base of the Bo tree, facing the eastern direction, and became enlightened. His view is blocked now by the temple. And many, many pilgrims come to offer their prayers and hope for enlightenment, and to commemorate the event and the seat of the enlightenment. And there we are with our guide on the far right, Serkant, on February 4, almost a year ago. There are other things to speak about. Mahabodhi Vihara, the name of the temple which we are standing in front. I'll just share and close with this one event. When you enter the precincts of the Mahabodhi Vihara, you are kind of on a hill, and you must walk down to the temple itself. I was told, and I read somewhere, that when the invasions from Afghanis actually, who were not Muslims at that time, who became Muslims later, had recently destroyed Nalanda University, and they were heading for Bodh Gaya, and the Buddhists were fervently trying to bury this entire temple to save it from notice. So that is why we're standing on a crest, as it were, leading down to Mahabodhi Vihara, the seat of enlightenment. So thank you very much. I hope you stay well. This was, I didn't intend to speak so long, but it looks like it's more than a half an hour. Kasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida.